North Belfast, Fort William and Randallstown. Last game of the Belfast District League 2008, and as it turns out, a battle for third place in the league. John Cahoon, who's been playing well for us all this year, taken ill and could not play, and with the Woods out of the country, that's John and Stephen, who've been playing for us quite a lot this year, it was looking as though Marty, Dave and I would have to take this win 3-2. Luckily, however, Ed Morgan, who'd been off most of the season with a back problem, had a surprise return to take up table 3. I'm on table 4. The clock started. E4, C5, Bishop C4, E6, F3, C6, Castle. General Sicilian opening play. Apart from the Bishop perhaps on C4. I often think early moves could include an exchange on the knights in D4, followed by the Queen to C7 and the Knight to C6, attacking H2. But I think that this line lacks aggression after Rook E1 and Pawn E5. Secondly, the Knight is often not exchanged in D4 but gets exchanged in F3, allowing White's Queen to arrive on F3, hitting the base of the pawn chain immediately. 4, D5. I feel that that's probably the better move in this position. It can sometimes lead to this with the exchange off on D5 with E takes D5, E takes D5, Rook E1 check, Bishop E6, Bishop B5, Queen B6, A4, A5, which I would probably put as being even for both. I don't have a computer running at the minute, but I would say that'd be pretty much even for both. So after I pushed D5, then my opponent played Bishop B5. Now I think if it was White's turn to move, then the Bishop would be fine on B5 because then it would double up the pawns on the C file. But as it's Black's turn to move, I think the move B5 is a blunder because it leads to Bishop D7, D3, A6, Bishop A4, B5, Bishop to B3, and then the Knight to A5, followed by Bishop D2, and then C4, winning the Bishop with E takes B5, C takes B3, A takes B3, Knight to B7, Rook E1, Bishop D6, Knight C3, Knight to E7, and D takes E6. Now, White has already shown his cards by castling kingside, and this makes my decision between F takes E6 or Bishop takes E6 easier. F takes E6 opens the F file and can be occupied very fast by a rook with a simple kingside castle. Therefore, F takes E6, Knight to G5, kingside castle. Now, White has some counterplay here with Queen to H5, and Black must play H6 to avoid mate for Black after Queen takes H7. Knight to C4, meaning that Black can't take the knight because it will be replaced by another knight, and the H file will be open and won't be able to prevent the attack on the king with Queen to H7. Bishop C5. Okay, so the original idea of attacking along the diagonal B8, H2, then can get replaced by the new diagonal B6 to F2. This diagonal is helped by the F file build up, and you can see puts a lot of pressure on the F2 pawn, which White must defend. Rook E2, A5, played simply to allow the knight to support the pawn on A5 rather than defending the pawn on A6 by the rook. 19, King H1, Queen B6, Rook F1, E5, and Bishop to E3. White's second blunder, probably the first big one, which loses at least a bishop. If the bishop is recaptured by the pawn on F2, then Rook takes F1 checkmate. If the bishop is recaptured by the rook, then Queen takes E3, winning the rook, as the Queen cannot be recaptured by the pawn on F2, as once again Rook takes F1 checkmate. Bishop E3, Rook E3, Queen E3, F3, Black is better. At this point I pretty much think I've won. I just need to play successfully. So Bishop C6, Queen H3. So I must now successfully defend in order to win. With the Queen arriving on the E6, with a check, forking the knight and or bishop, and therefore a move such as rook f5 or knight f5 must be played to defend the square f5 and the diagonal in there. I decided on rook f5 to elevate the rook, queen g4, bishop to d7, queen h4, h takes g5. It's all over. Knight was hanging. I've now got a third minor piece to add. Queen g3, queen f4, queen e1, g4. Again, the weakness of the f file is exaggerated because of the white king hidden on h1, not protecting the g1 square, well, the f1 square via the g1 square. Again, the pawn can't be taken due to the back rank mate, threatened if the pawn is captured in g4. g3, time pressure was affecting white's play now, and I had around 10 minutes whereas he had less than 1 minute for white. I just had to hold on successfully with queen h6, knight to f2, and rook takes f3. White's flag drops. I win. That final move on me was a possible blunder as it leaves the pawn hanging in e5. It was played with the idea bishop takes c6, taking up the discovered check threat, followed by a continuation something similar to this where black again is still better. Queen takes e5, bishop c6, queen takes e7, rook to f2, discovered check, rook, king to g1, rook takes f1, king takes f1, queen to c1. There's not too many places you can see there for white to run. So we actually won 4-0 and moved into third, but I've just noticed that Bombardier, who had a game or two in hand, are making a quick run for third place. So that's the end of the season for me, and I'll maybe post some of my tutorials I'm going to run myself on endgame strategy, middle game strategy, and some opening play, going through a lot of my games and some things that I might have missed this year. So I hope you enjoyed that. Tune in next time. Thank you.